Teachers are a thing that everybody has in their life. Whether it's your parents to teach you how to be a good person, the creepy taco guy who reminds you why you'll never try drugs, or the adults paid to teach you how to use the quadratic formula, also known as school dwellers, and the topic of today's video. Well, wait, aren't you going to tell us to subscribe or something? You're getting to the point unusually quickly compared to your other videos. You're right, dear viewer, I am getting to the point. So in 2nd grade, my teacher would sometimes not be there. You know, like your dad. So when we had a substitute teacher, it would usually be someone we'll call Mrs. B. For because I forgot your name. Mrs. B was sort of a weird teacher. She looked like she was a nice person outside of school, but wouldn't really act like that inside of school. She was the type of teacher who wouldn't let you talk at all, and if you did, you'd get in trouble and get sentenced to 5 minutes on the wall. The worst nightmare for a child like me.
Yeah, but what is the wall?
Oh dear idiotic viewer, the wall is a place where misbehaving children would go so they could get tortured and have fear of misbehaving again. What are you talking about? Who are you? Isn't it obvious? It's you from the future. And we both know for a fact that the wall was not used for that. Schools don't do physical torture, they do mental torture. But isn't that worse? Yeah, but the government is funding it, so nobody cares. So let me explain what the wall is actually used for correctly. So the playground area was pretty close to the physical school, so the teachers decided to use this wall right there for their operation. An operation where if you'd get in trouble, you'd stand there for X amount of minutes during recess watching as the others have fun. Yeah, but that's another one of those psychological tortures you were talking about. I wasn't exaggerating that much. I don't care, just tell the truth now. Goodbye. Okay. Anyway, one time when Mrs. B was substituting for the teacher we'll call Mrs. Henry, we were doing some activity where we had to cut out some stuff and glue it to our notebook. And since I had a pretty big bottle of glue, I asked somebody if they had glue, so if they didn't, they could use mine. I couldn't really hear their answer as Mrs. B said, "Hey, I'm talking!" So I asked if they had glue again. And Mrs. B decided that she already had enough. These gosh darn children have talked way too much. I'm not getting paid enough for this. How dare you talk twice in the same minute? You've disrupted the common environment of this classroom. You, tiny sir, will get 5 minutes on the wall. My world was crumbling right then and there. I'm the good kid. I'm not supposed to get in trouble. I was just trying to help. Surely this means this doesn't count, right? You're just kidding, aren't you? Child, this is all going on in your head. So you're saying I'm not in trouble? Nope, you're still getting 5 minutes on that wall! I knew it was early in the day, so all I had to do was just hope she wouldn't remember by the time recess came. And sure enough, she remembered. Because what better things is she gonna have to do with her life? Talk to her friends? She doesn't have any. She put them on the wall 5 minutes ago. They're right next to me. But what upset me the most about this situation was that the other person didn't even need glue. So they got me in trouble for no reason. And since she was the most common substitute for Mrs. Henry, we had to deal with her a lot more than we wanted to. Which leads me to another story that, surprise, surprise, included Mrs. B. But unlike the last story, I had survived half of the day. And because of that, Mrs. B decided it was time for a bathroom break. But as you have probably found out, Mrs. B wasn't a normal teacher, so instead of doing a class bathroom break, she decided it would be a good idea to let whoever wanted to go to the bathroom just leave without supervision. Luckily, we weren't the type of kids who'd wet a roll of toilet paper to see if it sticks onto the wall. We all actually wanted to use the bathroom, except me. But before you start thinking that I was there to purposely flood the bathroom, this was a time in my life where I thought that taking every opportunity to use the bathroom was a good idea, and it didn't make me seem like I desperately needed to schedule a doctor's appointment. So I went into the bathroom and realized I had 0% chance of actually using it and came back into the classroom. Then right when basically everybody had came back, my body decided, "Hey, do you remember the time where we thought that we had a 0% chance of using the bathroom? Well, what if we raised it to an 85% chance of using it?" And thus the intense need to use the crapper began. Shortly after, I asked Mrs. B if I could use the crapper, and I think it's pretty obviously what she answered. No. Her reasoning made sense since she thought that I had just used the bathroom, but this felt like it might have been an emergency. So I desperately tried to explain to her that I really need to go, but her decision was final. So I only had one option. I attempted to hold it in until I could go home. And let's just say, I didn't make it that day, which is why I think we should boycott school. Force them to not allow teachers to say no to children trying to go to the bathroom. Anyway, I think that's enough about Mrs. B, and now it's time to talk about a teacher I introduced the last story time, Mrs. Desk. My 4th grade teacher. Like I established last time, she was one of those weird, wacky, and quirky teachers in the worst ways possible. So allow me to present the evidence in the form of these stories, Your Honor. Okay then, proceed. So my school had these weird things called panther paws, which basically would be given out if you were behaving correctly. These panther paws had many variations to them. The blue one was given out individually to specific children. If you were given one of these blue ones, it was yours and you had to keep it. The yellow one was given out to teachers if the whole class behaved. And the red one was there and nobody really knew what it was for. So one day we were in the library, and since we did a good job reading to ourselves, the librarian decided she was going to give a yellow panther paw to the teacher. So when Mrs. Desk arrived, she took the panther paw and realized she had to carry with her until we got to the classroom. So she thought of a brilliant idea. Hey children, look at me, I'm going to put the panther paw into my hat. Oh, okay then. At first this was just semi-amusing, but the stupidity kicked in when she got back into the classroom. Mrs. Dess was going to take the panther paw out of her hat, but since she had placed it under a metal thing that was in her hat for design, so it wouldn't fly out while we were walking back to the classroom, she couldn't take it out. She tried taking it out without ripping it, but had zero success. She eventually gave up and left it in the hat, forever wishing for its day of freedom to come. And if I remember correctly, it stayed there all year, and honestly I wouldn't be surprised if it's still there to this day. Yeah, okay, but why the heck is it called a panther paw? Simple, because the school's mascot was a panther. Anyway, I have one more piece of evidence that shows the stupidity and weirdness of my teacher. So every year of school, for some reason, there's always at least one form that everybody in the school has to sign. And so we'd all stay motivated to sign that form as quickly as possible. My teacher said that if we all had them turned in by a certain day, she'd buy us donuts. So obviously we all got it signed before the day, and all we had to do was wait until the day she'd bring in the donuts. The day she came in with the donuts, we all got super excited, but there was one little thing that seemed off. It seemed like she hadn't bought enough donuts for everyone. It was a weird little detail, but we paid no attention to it. We continued with our lives like if everything was normal. Then she decided it was finally time for everybody to get donuts. So I went up to get one and faced one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Instead of giving us a whole donut like any sane person would do, she decided she'd give us half a donut. You heard that correctly. Half! They weren't even one of those good donuts with the sprinkles all over it. They were only glazed, which is good enough on its own, but not if it's only half of one. If one of my teachers in 6th grade was able to pull off getting whole donuts that were good, that had stuff like sprinkles, M&Ms, and Oreos on it, why couldn't you? Are you actually this cheap? What is wrong with you? So, Your Honor, what do you think? Well, these evidences weren't really that bad, and it kind of feels like you were just complaining too much. And I just really think you should stop complaining because you do it too much.
What?
So after thinking a bit about the meeting from November 9th, I have realized that Sean was right. Just because I have an idea, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll work. I still need to have research, experiments, and the necessary technology needed to put everything together nicely. So soon I'll be able to get on that. Though they told me they'd help me and that they'd chosen me, I'm still not sure about everything. I get the plan, but not why I'm involved. What am I even talking about? What am I saying? This will all work out. They've done so much for me. Doing this is the only thing I could do, like the least I could do, you know?
So, you may be wondering why this didn't come out in January. Well, things came up, and I just couldn't get it done before, like at a time where I can upload it in January, because I'm recording this in January. Just not at a good time for it to come out in January. You know what I mean? I hope you do. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, do the usual of like, commenting, subscribing. You know what all the YouTubers say. And, watch more videos if you'd like of me, please. They're entertaining, I swear. And, have a nice day.